Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Rebuilding Hollers, come hell or high waters. My name is Stephanie Johnson, and I am your host for the evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to share with you the truth about what's really happening here in Western North Carolina. I'd like to say thank you to all of our followers on social media for following along on this journey with us. And don't forget, anytime during the live broadcast, you can type in hashtag rebuilding to ask myself or our amazing guest any questions. And you can catch us on anytime on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Kick. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. I'd like to give y'all a couple updates for this week. We've had an incredible week. Project 8 is moving along. The foundation is done. The blocks are set. They will have a plumber out next week. Number 9 made significant progress this week. Their foundation is almost completely done. The plumber will also be on that. And Project 118, we are really going along with that. We will be doing the demolition on her house in the next 2 weeks. And then hopefully in the next few weeks, also getting that foundation going. So we're very excited about our big projects that are making significant progress. Of course, this week we are up to now 514 projects that need our help. So we do have a lot of things going on, a lot of small projects, but a lot of big projects to do. Now, for my guest for this evening, I'm so excited to introduce y'all to Gresham Buchanan. He is our general contractor, my personal friend. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Gresh.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. To tell you a little bit about Gresham, he is our construction wizard with a contagious grin. Let's see it, Gresh. He's like, no. He came from Mitchell County. Gresham grew up in Mitchell County and has been in Yancey County for the last 25 years. And with over 27 years of building experience here in the industry, he builds incredible structures. He can fix anything. He can do anything. And outside, off the job site, Gresham is an amazing dad to 6 wonderful children and has a lovely wife that we all absolutely adore that I'm pretty sure keeps you in line. Yeah, big time keeps you in line. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so excited for folks to hear from you and let them know, what's really happening here in Western North Carolina, because this has been a crazy, we're almost at 9 months. Today's the 27th. This is 9 months now. Yeah, today's June 27th. So it's our 9-month anniversary since the storm. Now we're in the middle of the summer, in the middle of a heat wave. So we went, of course, from freezing weather. Now it's burning up, blazing hot. We've even already hit our average high is usually 86.
Yeah, we were in the 90s this week.
And we've been in the 90s this week. So this has been a tough week. I was on a couple jobs and the river was nearby. And typically I would show property and then I would be down dipping in the river. And that's been hard. I think that's the hardest part about these heat waves is I'm not getting in the water. I'm not getting in the rivers yet. We're still too used. It's just all too fresh. There's still too much. It's discolored. It's all crazy. So anyway, let's get to talking to my favorite friend, Gresham. So you have a lot of experience in construction, which we're going to get to, but during the storm, you lost your home. You had a lot of flooding there. Will you tell us a little bit about what your family experienced the morning of the storm?
Yeah, I think we were just like a lot of people. Well, for me, I just was kind of in disbelief.
Yeah. Because we weren't expecting that.
No, and even on up till, I'm standing in 1 foot of water out in my front yard, and I'm like, it's not going to get any higher. It's not going to get any higher. And man, it just kept getting higher.
Yeah.
The quickness of the rise level, when it was, 6 inches to a foot deep, you really had to react quick then. And my reaction was to bail out of the house. My oldest, Connor, was just like, I'm moving my truck because that was his baby. I guess I'll move my truck. follow suit. So I don't know if he hadn't moved his truck if I wouldn't have moved mine. But
Yeah.
that was the beginning of four-wheeling the trucks to the backyard. I have one hill, maybe 10 foot, a little hill.
Yeah.
So they would know.
Yeah.
My yard is like close to 5 acres, just all flat.
And you're not on a big river. I mean, you're on a very small creek.
We're on a creek.
Yeah. And before the storm, how wide was it? Like, you could hop across it?
You could 2 foot across it, one hop.
One
One hop. You would hop in the creek and then hop over. This is about 6 foot wide right now, probably about 6 foot wide.
Okay.
And we're about a quarter of a mile from the river, and I think we dealt with, like, if you're going straight storm factors, we dealt with the creek rising, but also I think the creek had nowhere to go, which was like lake effect waters from the river backing up. So,
And then, but also coming down from the mountain on that other side of you, right? Like there's a mountain over here and the river's over here.
yeah, and you had runoff water behind you, because I have like a field behind the house. So it's just runoff water.
And then water coming up too, because so much rain. It's just
it was everywhere. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And
so you got your cars. You went ahead and got the cars up.
And then, some of them. I mean, I lost a van, but
your work van,
my church bus, I guess we call it, but like that.
Well, there's 8 of you total, right? So,
but I mean, you get 6 kids like prepared to sit in a truck for a few hours, but you don't know that,
right?
But yeah, that's what we did. We just hunkered down in the trucks, and I remember, just watching it all unfold. And then really before the waters receded, talking to these other people, the river stayed up for hours.
Yeah.
And the creek, it started receding. The height was like maybe at 10:30. When it started receding, I mean, we were shoveling. I've got a picture of my wife with a shovel in her hand, like at 12 o'clock.
Wow.
So we were shoveling and
trying to get everything out because it rose up into the house.
I think I've got a video of my house, maybe somewhere around 11, where we walked through. We just did a walkthrough. Then you're just dealing with, mud, couches over here, everything. Our house didn't just completely wash away, but like the water went in, and then when it hit the back wall, it just kind of took the floor and like shoved the floor down.
Yeah.
And then it was 1917.
Right.
Is what they say my house is. So it's just one of those irreparable houses, where the joists were broke, the floors, the walls are, you just got so much mold in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess once you initially see it, we were in this disbelief, I guess. Maybe you're really not so much like dwelling on that.
Yeah.
We just kind of like your instincts kick in and you start shoveling. I remember those days, those really weeks that you would just wake up. The easiest floor to clean was the garage floor. It was concrete. So we base camped out of the garage. I put some picnic tables in the garage, and that's where we cooked. And we cleaned it out as good as we could. And that's where we stayed. 90% of the day we were just shoveling mud, or there's always something to do.
Right.
And that's kind of how those first initial days were.
And y'all were trapped and not necessarily a holler, but that whole South Toe community.
South Toe, from basically Poplar Grove store up,
right,
was trapped from the landslide.
From the landslide.
And if you wanted to go out the Blue Rock way, you couldn't because the bridge was gone.
Right. And then you couldn't go down the other road because of the road was gone.
Yes.
Yes.
At the Parkway.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, all the way that way is gone too. But even the cut through when you turn left there at CeeLo.
The bridge was just like
covered in debris. I mean, there was no way.
Yeah. And the guys that cleaned that bridge off, they were James, my neighbor James Ray. He was like the first person there. I think like at 11 o'clock, he was there. He was there like because what happened at the bridge is saved across from my house.
Right.
What happened is those trees and those twigs just kind of everything, and I had some lumber just piling up.
Kind of dammed up, yeah.
It kind of diverted that water like towards like my house, like that way, and it shot it towards the garage. And then once it got to my house, it kind of went left or right, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But at its height, man, it was 4 foot, 3-4 foot. It covered my rock work.
Yeah.
And that was everywhere.
But that's your foundation. I mean, so when it come up in the house and did all that damage.
Well, I had rock work laid up like halfway up on the wall.
Mm.
See, I had one of those level houses, pretty much like when you stepped out, off the front porch, you're on the grass.
Right. Well, 1917, right? So they would have they built right on the ground.
Yeah, and that's how it did. It was one of those houses you couldn't go in a
You don't have a
crawl
crawl
space.
space.
Yeah, it was like my chest. I've been up under there before, my chest rubbed and stuff, and I've gotten too fat and old now where I couldn't even crawl.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's just,
yeah.
But yeah, man, it was crazy.
And because of this, your home is a total loss. It can't be fixed.
Yeah, and what we're gonna do is build in the back. So I went as far back as I can, kind of towards that hill.
Yeah.
I can't build on top of that hill I was talking about where we park the cars because that's where the well is. And then on the other side of that, there's a spring. So I got too much water there. So we're going to kind of nestle it in.
Yeah.
We're still in the flood zone, but we're going to build up on top of
and you've had to go,
elevation.
You've had to really do your due diligence per se to get this far. So, our guest last week has already got his home built, but you've kind of went a different route. You went to work, but also you've had to stay on your parcel. You've had to have a survey, then you had to have an elevation study done, and then engineer drawings.
And I had the state inspector for your septic out last week.
Yeah.
And then so it's just been kind of like, can we even do this?
Right.
To yes, you can do this, to we don't know if you can do this, to back to yes, you can't. Like it's just a roller coaster ride.
Right.
And I mean, I feel sorry for someone that would actually take a 70-year-old woman. For instance, that wouldn't have a clue.
Right.
That would be a nightmare.
The construction process and the
process
and the permitting process. Like, can we build? Can we not build? All these different things. Because we don't have a new floodway yet. We don't have new flood maps. So we're not sure. They estimated after the flood, it would still be 1.5 to 2 years before we have new flood maps to go by. So everybody's still kind of unsure on which way to go. And that's definitely been tough.
But you can't stop.
No, you can't stop. You got to get your family home.
But that's kind of how we did it. And if you're talking, now we jumped there, but in between the garage, like those first few days, what we would do is we would we still hadn't cleaned out the house, so there was like this much mud all through the house. So we were taking our shoes off and still sleeping in the house, and the kids were playing in the dirt. You know how kids do.
I know,
8 years old. So those like their hands were peeling.
Yeah.
And they were getting like blisters and sores and stuff. And that was like, we were like, we gotta quit this.
Right.
Like their feet were getting like sores on them. It was weird.
It was weird stuff.
And once we started seeing that, we're like,
because we didn't have power. We didn't have cell service.
It was like hand, foot, and mouth disease. Yeah, but it was weird. And then you kind of start realizing like, hey, our water's tainted.
Right.
And they're like this soil, like what are they?
Right. What is going on? Exactly.
Yeah,
and so then you pulled out. So then you got out. Then you weren't staying in the house anymore.
No. Pretty early on, we got a camper. and there's things were coming from all over.
Right.
When you get out and you start making connections, and so we got a camper and we started staying in it, and then slowly but surely, I got some. Basically, we got to where we are now, probably the month of March. By March, I had my girls' bedrooms where the girls stayed on the back side of the house. It was elevated about 4 feet, about 4 or 5 feet, and the water got up to the step on it, but it didn't go inside.
Okay.
So what I did is just took like that deck and turned the deck into a room, and I built a kitchen. And so we did a lot of work to my girls' bedroom, and basically, we did that. We got a camper. I got a teenager right now I've got a teenager in one of those 8x8 buildings.
Yeah, little tiny house.
Yeah, the senior that just graduated, and
Right.
I got a freshman in one of those little tiny houses, and then us and the little kids are in like the girls' old bedroom. So it's kind of spread out
right
that way.
Yeah, but the kids are happy.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some issues. Family dynamics have definitely changed.
Yeah.
And there's just so much unstableness. I mean, I know there's school teachers saw it this year. I've got them in summer school. They had to go to summer school.
That's okay though. Well, but this has been catastrophic. I mean, we had this massive storm. First, we had COVID in 2020. Then we have a massive storm, and the kids are out of school from September to November, where they went back for December, basically. Yeah. It wasn't long.
It was.
And then they went back, but then, we're still struggling with power outages, cold, internet, so don't carry that by yourself. I mean, this has just been tough.
No, and they've been great. I mean, the Yancey County's been great with them, so they've been taken care of, and they're, I think all your teachers or the whole county knows like what the whole county's been through.
Exactly.
So,
and they're so compassionate about it. Even the superintendent has been, and the teachers, in the parking lot, the teachers would come in. They would go check on their students. They would come and get things for their students. They would come and say, my kids are coming back and I'm going to need this, this, and this for them. It was pretty impressive to see all the teachers, the theater teacher, of course, Jeremy, the carpentry teacher, so many that wanted to make sure that they were able to offer their kids some stabilization, because so many children have lost their homes or living in different situations, and they're just doing everything they can to just stay together. I think that's been the key. Because the real reality is you could have stayed home and made the best of what you did, which you did, or leave. Right? And where does a family of 8 go?
There was opportunities in the beginning. I had houses offered to leave.
Yeah.
My property.
Yeah.
And
but then we had what we were talking about earlier with the people coming on your property.
Yeah.
How did that go? So like you'd be home and all of a sudden people just show up.
Yeah, when you're talking, October, November, you're kind of getting darker at night.
Yeah.
And anybody that pulls in your yard at night, what are they doing?
Right.
So I mean, you had the 8, 9 o'clockers as you're just,
because we still have no power.
We're just struggling to try to go to bed and get like bath time routine is completely blown.
Right.
You're just struggling to make sure kids are clean and up until hours of the night and just crashing out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And waking up at daylight. So you had the trash.
You have people coming in. And you had to go so far as to kind of build a barrier so that they couldn't just pull out into your yard and.
Yeah, I had a neighbor again. I called him and I was like, James, I got people coming in like asking questions, saying, "Oh, I used to live right." They're really slick, because they'll just come in your yard and they'll try to connect with you.
Right.
Like we used to live right here, or I had a truck just like that, or whatever.
Right.
and you're like, I don't know you, but why are
Right.
you in my yard at 9 o'clock at night?
Right.
So I had like James come over and just take some of those big trees and just. I've got a real flat yard and it's level with the road, so people could just drive in my yard at different angles. So we just blocked the
Because there
basically
were,
the yard off.
yeah. And these were potentially, I mean, because we know a lot of our other neighbors experience, but people were stealing, people were going through people's houses.
Yeah, I mean, there was one on South Bay that I think got gun stole. I mean, it's just the store got broke into. We didn't even talk about that, but like I was maybe before the 6th day, somebody broke into the Poplar Grove store. I think so. No, maybe that was day like 10 or something, but we went up there and we fixed it with some plywood and stuff. So some plywood doors, and I think 2 days later somebody came in and robbed them at gunpoint.
Oh God!
Just took the money out.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like third world country stuff here for a while. It was
the worst of the worst came out, and the best of the best came
Yes.
out. Like it completely divided you.
Yeah.
Like you weren't. There's no neutrals.
Yeah.
There's no like at that point in time. There's not that neutral person. You either survive and like become a good human being, or like your evilness takes over and you become like who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
I really saw that.
Yes.
Everybody.
Right.
Really. I mean, you saw like, but
people that were here to help, and locals that were here to help versus folks that were taking advantage. I heard many stories of, their homes were broken into. They fled the storm, they left, and then when they got back, their house had been ransacked. Anything that was left was stolen. So that was really hard. You want to leave because you gotta go. You can't stay in your house. It took a while before the RVs started coming in so that people could stay on site.
That was at least a month, maybe, before like stuff like that started happening.
Yeah.
A month or two.
Yeah, it was a while.
There's just only so much anybody can do. And I don't think really in the beginning nobody really knew.
We did because so many. For me, I never understood the capacity. Let's see. People that take advantage after the storm like that are terrible humans. We went through that after Hurricane Irma, and we're locked and loaded at all times. Yeah, Cecilia, it was tough. I had no idea. I was a kid when Hurricane Hugo went through Charlotte, and so I experienced that, but not at this capacity. That was 2 weeks of no power, and everybody was back home, to my memory. But this has been next level destruction. It has been world-altering, life-altering destruction is what we've experienced here. I would say.
If it would have, I would have hated to have seen it if it would have been like really like any longer, like if it had been trapped any longer. 2 months, if you couldn't have went to the store or you couldn't have got gas, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like, it really makes you think, and that's easily forgettable.
Yeah, it is. And then you start, because we're still moving forward. We're still in the progress of, we're trying to move forward. We're trying to get houses.
We're so preoccupied.
Yes.
Like, there's been no stopping.
Right. To think back, like, oh, I survived that. I went through that. That has been crazy. All right. So we've talked a little bit about your personal, how your families went through it and all the things going on there. Let's talk about the construction, right? So you are a licensed commercial contractor, general contractor. You are a Rebuild and Hollers contractor. We love you. We're so thankful for you and all of the support that you have given us so that we can help our neighbors as well. I'm so thankful for that. But you in your business have experienced a lot because you got your family stabilized and then you went to work. You started helping other people. Just like, we talked about your neighbor that came and helped with that. That's how it's been the whole time is mountain folk helping mountain folk. Everybody came out that morning, started cutting trees, started to try to dig out, what do we do to kind of work together? And so you have continued that very heavily.
But yeah, like we said in the beginning, I watched people helping me, just get back on my feet. And I don't really like to be that guy. So it was hard to accept help, but mean, I needed it. I remember walking into like, needing a pair of shoes going out one day and went and got a pair of shoes as soon as we could get out.
Yeah.
So
Because you didn't have any shoes.
Shoes were good. I got a pair of boots.
Yeah.
And people were calling me like, oh, what kind of these boots I have on right now? Someone bought me, and a cousin in Charlotte sent them up. So yeah, it's just, but I had that. I already had that in me, but like seeing my neighbors and helping each other, and then get together and talking to them at night. As soon as I was able, we kind of got out and really was looking for that outlet. Like, hey, let's praying about it. Like, where put me where you want me, Lord, like stuff. Because I've done some mission work overseas and stuff, so I've seen it in other countries. So
right.
There's a need out there, and then it's in your backyard.
Yeah, it's you this time. And one of the biggest things that we had to deal with in Rose's parking lot and still deal with on a regular basis is when you try to give somebody something, they say, "Well, somebody needs it worse than me." Right? We've had those battles, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm the same way. Honestly, I think it's just the Appalachian thing.
Yeah.
There's still people that's not going to accept something.
Yeah. But we need to be able to get them home too. We need to be able to get people back and built back and not feel bad for accepting the help, for getting that done, for rebuilding their homes,
Well, somebody told me, I can't remember what it was, pretty early on. I can't remember, it was somebody at church, we were talking about it, but they're like, don't steal somebody's blessing.
Yeah.
And it kind of clicked in. They're like, if somebody wants to help you, don't steal their blessing.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so just give in. And I think that's basically when I kind of gave in.
Right.
But you still want to tread lightly.
Right.
Like.
Right. Well, because some people just will take. Right.
Yeah. I just wanted to take what I need, or I mean, we weren't coming out with armfuls of what I'm saying?
No,
we would just go, but ours was like this, we get a South Day Fire Department or something and get meals for the week. I mean, I've still got cans of raviolis. Like raviolis.
Well, you need to be prepared. Look, we're still living we've had our apocalypse here in Western North Carolina, but the reality is our world is still very not okay out there. So I want everybody prepped. Y'all all know that. I talk about it all the time. Preparedness is key. Yeah. So please keep ravioli and get some Spam. We had Spam for dinner the other night.
Oh, I had Spam just today.
I love Spam.
My wife will. She's getting rid of Spam. I got to be an anti-Spam diet.
You don't like Spam?
It's the salt content. So
well, I'm not saying eat it every day, but
Yeah.
We had it
I love it.
I do too. Look, we had it for Sunday dinner. Tyler fried up Spam with rice and black-eyed peas.
Yeah.
It was delicious. I love that.
I mean, we still got.
That's redneck steak.
I call it Helene food.
Yeah.
We still got Helene food.
But that's okay. I feel like that's God's way of preparing us, right? Because everything is so crazy in the world. There's nothing wrong with having food put back because, so many people in the beginning didn't have any food.
Well, we were one of them.
Yeah.
We were one of them. Yeah.
Or if your house was gone, then everything you have is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do? You were trapped in your holler for 6 days.
Yeah, my refrigerator was laying in the muck, and like the floor was kind of gone. So I mean, we didn't have a fridge.
Yeah.
The power, once you live like that and the power goes out.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the power was out a long time. I mean, our house, it was 27 days.
Yeah. I think we got it back a little bit before y'all.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was we ate by candlelight. I had some good neighbors. Like, it was weird to just everybody kind of come together. Like you really got to know your neighbors. They in my neighborhood, I was really the only house that took that amount of damage. So everybody came over. I mean, they were like, we got deer meats going bad. So we'd have deer meat. Now we'd all we'd walk over to the church, we'd eat by candlelight, and we'd stay there for about an hour or two and just communicate.
Yeah.
And then, go home and go to bed.
Yeah.
But to get up and do like the same thing the next day, nobody could really do anything.
No.
Just, I had a lot of people with shovels. In the beginning. Luckily, I had a neighbor with a track out.
Thank you, Jesus.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I love that. So, what on some jobs that you have done? So you're helping with a couple that we have, but you've worked on some other jobs, and you've had a couple, like some has been really good, as far as getting them moving forward. But then we've had some organizations that come in they're like a volunteer organization. They say they're here to build, but they don't necessarily want to hire a contractor to do it. They do because they need your license, but then they don't because they don't want to pay. Have you seen a lot of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, not a lot, but I have seen it, and I think communication is key.
Yeah.
And a lot of these organizations don't have communication. I really don't think a lot of your outside organizations maybe are really good or have the game plans in place to communicate with local people,
right?
Whether that's homeowners, contractors,
right.
Especially early on. I think we're finally getting better at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I went through a little bit with one, and I think it was pretty bad communication. Maybe, I mean, on my end and their end too. But when everything's going as fast as it's going.
Yeah.
Now, in this instance I'm talking about here, we got 2 houses put up in about a 2-week span.
Right. Because you know what you're doing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you know what you're doing, so you did it.
We got the roofs on, we got the walls up, we got the interior walls built, we got the decks built, and the roofs weren't on the decks, I don't think, but that's about it. Yeah, you gotta know as you're doing these things. Hey, call your local inspector.
Yeah.
Have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
Make sure he knows you got steel in your footers.
Yeah. Come inspect the footers.
Come inspect the footers.
Right, right. And so this group they don't know what they're doing.
But it's knowledgeable oversight. Let's call it knowledgeable oversight.
Yeah. I call it when someone I call them contractors, paper contractors, right? So so I've been a licensed contractor before.
No, really?
Yeah, but I was a paper contractor. I mean, I knew things, I could do things.
Yeah.
But as far as I hadn't been on job sites building houses my whole life, right? And so that is a very important part of knowing the home building process. So you can be licensed and still not know what you're doing. And I think we're dealing with some of that. We've got organizations coming in, they bring another contractor from somewhere else, or they start and they say, well, I'm going to hire a local contractor, but then there's a problem there.
Well, I mean, I've been involved in throwing out bids to other organizations, and then I have got the feedback, well, we're not going to hire you. We're going to use this outfit at I don't know, let's just make up a place, Taylorsville, South Carolina, or somewhere I'm like, oh, you must know the guy. Or
yeah. Why would you pick someone in Taylorsville?
But I mean, they're probably cutting them a discount rate to come up here and do discount work, and that, I mean,
but we don't need discount work.
You're getting that to where, like, me as a local contractor, I'll be honest with you, I'm more of a remodeler / home builder. I think we got 3 to build right now. I'm not a premier home builder. When you say you want a home, Gray Construction is not going to be the first name you see. I consider myself more of a remodeler.
Yeah.
So,
which is a skill in itself, because now you're going and fixing other people's.
We've stayed in second homes for years, like second home housing development. So most of my clientele is from Florida or Texas or California. You know what I'm saying?
Before the storm.
Before the storm.
Right.
Yes, before the storm. So I got in that clique, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed that. But I've kind of abandoned that and put that on back burner.
Yeah.
But we have been involved in a lot of those. So where my clientele is right now, like those second homes, I noticed they didn't get any funding. Their insurance is not covered. So when I go back and fix a second home with tree damage, which up on top of these mountains there was plenty of tree damage. I mean, a lot of tree damage.
Right.
So those are some projects we're working on. Then you get down here and you get, let's just go all the way to the river, your houses are gone.
Right.
So we're working on flood houses, which have no funding.
Right.
They're not, no insurance.
No insurance, no FEMA.
No FEMA. And it's private, it's private investors. Whether I know from like a church reaches out and says, hey, we saw your story,
right.
or like, what could you guys with Rebuilding Hollers, or
yeah.
Samaritan's Purse, or whoever it be, that funds that. So, and then you got your in-betweens where you have a trees. I know they were tough, but we're working on a few tree damaged homes, and they actually, they get the payouts.
Right.
They get the buyouts.
Right.
So,
because insurance will pay for the tree stuff.
I mean, it's hard to say like you're lucky a tree fell on your house.
Yeah.
But really, like, you're lucky a tree fell on your house.
Yeah. Because they get paid. If it was water or an act of God, you're not getting paid.
I've not worked on any slides, so I don't
the
know
landslides,
but they're probably just like water.
Yeah,
like they're
because you weren't covered for a landslide.
Yeah.
And we had just in Yancey County well over 200 landslides.
No.
And we were looking. So Google Maps has updated now, so you can pull up Burnsville or South Toe. There's a massive 3,000 foot landslide on South Toe. One of the big ones on Pensacola. You come around the bend and it just looks like it goes forever, but it's actually tiny compared to the one, say, back in Cattail or back on CeeLo Mountain.
I can see the one. We live in CeeLo,
yes,
so I can see the one from my backyard.
And I was looking at that one on the map. There is a house right at the bottom of that landslide.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it stopped like 200 feet from that house, but every day it's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And of course, we've also got the big landslide on Boland's Creek that did take out a house. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this has just been, it's crazy the different levels.
Yeah, and that was my sheetrocker. You talking about Ray?
No, this was a woman that lived in that house. The one on Boland's Creek, that right in the bend.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. I thought you were talking about the one on the.
Oh, that one came down, and she was in the house, and the house is like almost over Boland's Creek, still there. Like there's been some different crews go and try to, do some stuff, but that landslide is incredible.
Yeah.
What happened there?
And
it will forever be a problem. Like there's no stopping that. There's no, we can clean up the debris, but what do? You can't stop it. It's sheer rock now under it. And water is the new waterfall coming out of it.
Yeah.
These landslides, they're insane.
But
so
just while I was thinking about it, like it just hit me like you kind of in the beginning you felt isolated.
Yes.
Like I looked around in your own little world and you were like, kind of like, wow, why did this happen? But then you got out,
yeah,
and you realize like you start hearing. We had a neighbor we went to church with. She passed away. She died. And then there was a family of 4 that lived below us, and it was actually one of my wife's patients at the cancer center, and they passed. So they were a little bit below us on the river. So like that, just in South though, it was. You start hearing those stories.
Right.
You kind of are like, wow, this is big.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky. Like, I go back to my 17-year-old at the time deciding to move his truck.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So the serious of it and the landslides and the seriousness of just not.
And we had no idea.
No.
We didn't get out of our holler, for the first 3 days, and we had no idea how bad it was. The Georgia Game and Wildlife came hiking in on day 2 looking for one of their own. That was the first people we saw, other than our neighbors, come in looking because one of their people were in their second home in our holler. And then the third day, another county SWAT team came up, but we're still cutting our way out. We couldn't get down yet, and they come in, and it was crazy until we got out. And when we finally got out on the third day, I went to town. And that's when we found out that the tow river was destroyed. Everything was destroyed, and there were all these missing people. I mean, it was very apocalyptic.
Very apocalyptic. It's just, it was very strange.
Yeah, and it still really is. Although now all of our roads are accessible, and we can get in the different hollers now. Most of the temporary bridges are in place. We still have 6 big bridges out on 19W. That families cannot get to their homes, or their homes are gone on the other side of the mountain, the river. That's been pretty.
I know we still got the one on South though, just because it's right down the road.
Yeah.
That one bridge, I don't know how many others, but yeah.
My understanding is there's over 300 bridges. There were over 300 bridges out.
In Western North Carolina?
No, in Yancey County.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
A lot. But see, on the Cane is where the big bridges are.
Yes.
Because some spans 150 feet from the road to the other side. And of course, now the river is so much wider that it's even bigger to try to put those bridges back.
Well, even on the north though, which connects Mitchell County to Yancey County.
Yeah.
Basically the dividing line.
Yeah.
Like that.
It is.
Even some of those bridges, I mean, they're just
the Green Mountain Bridge.
Boxcar bridges, I guess, or what they're called, or whatever. But they're
railroad bridges.
You kind of wonder about them when you see them. They're working for now.
Yeah, they're temporary bridges, but they have to go through a significant process. They have to have a flow study done. Then they have to have engineering done, and then the state has to review and approve that. If they don't, then it has to be done again, and then it can be approved. And they can start building, but then it has to be inspected. The state has to front the money, and then maybe FEMA will reimburse it. I mean, it's a real, so much red tape to do all the different things, which I understand. It makes sense because a bridge, if a bridge fails, if we have another big storm and that bridge fails, then every bridge down from it, is so they're, so I understand because we want our bridges built back properly as well. We definitely, but there's a couple low water crossing bridges all the way down the Cane. There's a couple different families that are, But in the rain, I mean, once it starts, it don't take but a 20-minute rain and everything is flooding again. I mean, it really is crazy. Let's talk a little bit about some of the jobs we're working on together. So we started project number 9. And he was kind of an emergency project, right? So he had 2 different volunteer groups. One volunteer group said, if you'll go buy this material, we'll start your foundation. And of course, that didn't go well, right? So that one didn't go well. And then another volunteer group came in and said, well, we see that you kind of got started, so we're here to help. And if you'll go buy more of this block, we'll help you with that. And then they brought in more teenage volunteers to lay block, and that didn't go well. So by the time he called me, kind of like, Steph, this is getting crazy.
Your timeline, though, when I talked to him the other day, you're talking about somebody that has had footers dug since February. So I mean, this is not happening in a few weeks. This guy's been pretty patient. Since February
till trying to get it on.
Yeah,
And so when I got there, I said, I'm going to come. He was telling me all the things he was dealing with. And he's been on our project for a long time, his project number 9, because we met him very early on in the parking lot. Knew he had devastation, knew we wanted to be able to help him and support him through his project. But we did not know how he was moving and how it was going. And so when he finally called and said, okay, this is what's happening, I said, I want to come see you. And I first walked out there and I thought, oh no. Oh no. And of course, one of the groups is one that I've already kind of red flagged, is they don't exactly have it all together.
I've Yeah, I've experienced that. I mean,
you know, and so I started panicking, like, oh gosh, I know they did this to so and so and so and so and so and so, and I didn't want to see that happen to him. And so I called in reinforcements. I called Matt immediately, and I was like, Matt, because Matt's our foundation guy. Y'all met him last week. I said, Matt, you got to come help me. You got to come. Am I wrong? Right? Just come and tell me, you know, how bad is this, or are we okay? And he got out there and he was like, oh crap, this is what we got to do to fix it.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not. It's not being petty. It's actual legit problems.
Right.
And it's, they're, your window sizes are too small. There's windows in the wrong place. When you're laying blocks, you want your windows out. You had to raise them up.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys talked about it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But yeah.
It was, and we had to frame some of the windows up because this is a load bearing section, right? I mean, like stuff wasn't done right. I mean, we had to do some things to get that foundation right, and we got it all done this week. You've been on the site this week, so you've started our getting ready. So now that the foundation is done, our next step, and you had a plumber. We're so excited to meet him on Monday, and he'll look into doing our rough plumbing. He's actually going to look at number 8 and number 9 to do the rough end plumbing on that. Which the rough end plumbing, that is the plumbing before the plumbing, right? So
yeah.
So your rough end plumbing is what is going to go under the concrete. So once we pour that slab, there is nothing else that's going under that foundation. So we've got to rough it in. We've got to go ahead and lay that out, get the pipe in the ground or, in where the concrete's going to go. Then we pour the concrete on top of it, and that is set. So that's what we mean when we say rough end plumbing. That kind of gets it set so that later during the process, we can connect all of that.
Yeah.
Because that's what will take it down to the septic tank and all of those things. So rough end plumbing is important while we're getting our foundation set.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're excited about that. That was a big one. Thank you for sharing your plumber with us. And then hopefully we'll start framing on that one very soon. We get that rough end plumbing done, and then
start laying out a build.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Get that subfloor in.
He's ready. He's ready to go. And then, of course, the high school.
Yeah. Oh,
with
I'm so excited. Have you seen that house? 118. So Project 118. You've been with me to the house site. So we've got to take that house site down. That house, we're hoping to have that come down hopefully next week. We actually got a fantastic donation this past weekend from Charlotte IT. They did a fundraiser for us. It was like a 6-week fundraiser where they were sharing our stories, and they got a lot of Charlotte IT technicians. They said, this is the group we're supporting. They had volunteered with us in the parking lot early on. They had even met Project 118 in the parking lot. And they said, hey, we remember meeting this one person. And I said, oh, that's so-and-so. That's Project 118. They said, we want our money to go to them. And I said, that's exactly where I needed to go. So that was really cool. So we got $20,000, which is going to go a long way in getting that house taken down and hauled away. So a lot of homes are being torn down and then they're just sitting, right? So we saw that a lot.
Or in my opinion, maybe, I know they're tear downs, but maybe tearing down prematurely.
Yes.
Like, I haven't torn my house down.
Yeah.
Yet. I'm using it for storage.
Yeah.
Like,
it's got to be when people are ready, right?
Tile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trying to scrounge and get all I can get.
All the materials.
Prepared. Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
For Project 118, they lost so much. There was 8 feet of water in there, and all of their things were scattered everywhere. And so they needed time to go through everything. So the delay has been good. That it's not, let's just go in there and rip everything down and then figure out what we're doing. We want to have a good plan. Like, we're not just taking your home down, but we're going to rebuild your home. But it needs to be all in, I call it God's perfect timing.
Yeah. And
I think that now that we're 9 months in, Project 118 is ready to see that house come down. And so hopefully I hope to have that done in the next week or two. It's got to be all in the perfect time.
And some people didn't have that luxury. I mean, let's say I've been affiliated with Lower Street Spruce Pine too. And I know that couple, like, just lost everything.
Yeah.
Everything. You just had to get it out.
Yeah.
You lose everything you've worked for your entire life. Like, at least you have your life.
Right. You're talking about
everything's gone.
the businesses on Lower Street.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they didn't have an option. They just had to go in there. I mean, the building, the windows were blown out, the doors were blown out, and they just had to go in there and just start bringing everything out.
Get the mud out.
Get the mud out. Get the stuff out. And they had a lot of volunteers that come and which was wonderful, but also stressful because volunteers are with us for a week.
We haven't really talked about the volunteers.
We haven't talked about the volunteers yet, but
they're great. But
Yeah.
like, you have to have supervision
yes,
for volunteers, and I think that's been a downfall of a lot of this.
Yeah.
Was where these, I don't know, what would you call them, like code violations, or like maybe just improper construction practices.
right. Well, they don't know our code. They don't know North Carolina code.
Supervisor.
Right.
You
You've got to have somebody that knows. You and I have talked about this from the very beginning, which is why it's always been so important for you to be involved in our big builds because, well, you're the contractor. I'm not a contractor anymore. And we want to do it right. And so when folks come in, we need them. We need help, but we also need them to know what they're doing and
Yeah.
or have oversight so that way we're taking the right steps. Right. So you had an experience recently with a volunteer group that they were doing something that wasn't what needed to be done, but they're like, well, we only have a few days here, so we're just trying to get as much done as possible. But the reality was, you have an excavator, you can bring it in and have it done in an hour.
Exactly. Just like stop what you're doing and just go on. Like,
Right.
There's no reason for a volunteer to stay here and get hurt. Or like early on, I watched, maybe a group of 20 just moving a trash pile from like 50 foot away from the road, like maybe 50 more feet closer to the road. It was a big trash pile. It was as big as my house.
That was the house that got torn down.
Why are you even touching that trash? Like,
Right.
You don't need to be doing this.
Right.
Like, why?
Right.
Why handle someone else's trash? There's nails in that trash. There's debris. There's sediments. There's probably E. coli in there.
Yeah.
Like, don't come here and
Get
touch
hurt.
trash. Let,
Right.
let the skid steer. Let the
Yeah.
tractor touch
Right.
trash. Let's find those houses that need blocks. Carry some blocks to the block mason. Carry
Right.
some 2x4s to the framing crew.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Really plug them in
Right.
like in those. But don't get me wrong. There's so much trash. Like,
So
you at
much
least
trash.
there is. You're gonna have to cut some trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
With these cleanup crews.
Right.
You really are.
Right.
I mean,
But moving a
shouldn't be
pile, I
Not
mean,
moving a
literally,
pile.
you could literally have taken an excavator or a dozer or skid steer,
a
just
dozer,
pushed it.
Pushed it.
and
Yeah.
then not done that. But that organization was like, okay, we have 20 people here.
Yeah, and this has been months ago.
I remember,
This
yeah.
has been months ago.
I know.
What I'm talking about.
But still, we
Yeah.
don't want anybody to get hurt because we have had volunteers get hurt. On the chainsaw crews, we did lose one person did pass away on a chainsaw crew.
Really, I didn't know.
That a tree, they passed away. And then we've had a lot of I think I heard like over 100 chainsaw injuries,
I don't know.
especially in the beginning, and that
Yeah.
that was a lot of injuries in that.
Chainsaw was your best friend for the first 2 months. And that's
Well,
what
still
everybody
even
was
now
saying.
when you drive, I mean, it's still
People could be running chainsaw
indefinitely, forever. We have so many trees down and so many entire mountainsides that are just
Wipes, yeah.
wiped out. That's been very tough. So we love volunteer labor. We're thankful for them. What I feel like is, like, this week we were honored with a sheetrock crew that came from Ohio. They were incredible. And so we only put them on sheetrock jobs. So that way they are doing exactly what they're specialized in doing. They know what they're doing. And they could get in there, get it done. They got a lot of our projects caught up on sheetrock. So that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. So that's how I manage volunteers when they come, is what is your specialty? If their specialty is not construction related, then we want to share them with one of our distribution centers, I think is the best way to do that.
Yeah.
And so that way we're getting
these cleanup crews, a lot of times you can't have a cleanup crew. There's a lot of yard debris on that one job. So swing sets,
Yes.
moving, chairs, and just, I mean, there's just so much. I know in my yard I can still walk outside and see glass.
We have a question from Cecilia. What was the hardest obstacle for you to overcome since the storm? That's a really good question. Thank you, Cecilia.
For me personally, I don't working and things like that and interacting when I'm out was easy. It was the focus, the mental hurdle. Like I think I don't know if it was all storm related, but like I've noticed a dip in just my I was a high functioning person, multitasker. I'm getting some of it back. Like I know I put on Facebook yesterday, I had 4 projects going on in one day.
Yeah.
So, and that's me on a daily basis.
Yes.
I'm turning and burning.
Yeah.
I got my crew working. I got some volunteers working.
Right.
We're working here. I got
checking on jobs.
Yes. So I'm checking on jobs.
Yes.
But that was my biggest hurdle. Like I remember one day some kids came to see me, and it might have been in January, and I was just sitting on a log in my backyard, just staring at the ground. And I honestly didn't even know that they walked up and tapped me on the shoulder. And they were an interview group. They're 2 kids from New York. One was from New Jersey. I think the other one was from New York. They were like, "Hey, we want to interview you for a journal." They were journalists.
Right.
So, I didn't even know they were there.
Yeah.
Like, and those blank times, those staring off into space, and then, I mean, I don't care to tell you. I mean, my entire family, all my kids, my young kids, and me and my wife go to therapy. Like there's 5 of us in therapy.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you. That's important, Gresh.
I've never been a therapy guy.
Yeah.
Right. This guy's
because you're a man, right? You're the dad,
Yeah.
You're the husband, you're the leader of your family, you're a godly man, and you have been through hell, right?
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you for going and for being brave enough to share that with us because it matters. We have been through it.
Yeah, and that's one thing I started maybe a couple months ago. But it's really took a toll on my body. Like that's probably been my biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
Is like just what the stress has done to me, my mental mindset. Like and I'm slowly getting it back. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever be where I was.
I believe you will.
Last year.
I believe in you. Yes.
But yeah.
Because you're not much. You're only like 2 years older than me. We're the same age.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, you have 6 kids. I try to imagine. I mean, I have 1. I imagine having 6. I mean, that's powerful. That's you have 7 souls that depend and rely on you. I'm so proud of you. You know that. I'm your biggest fan. I'm so proud of you've never stopped moving, even though you've taken time to stare into space. That's okay, because I'm sure you were just thinking of all the different things, and that's okay. So is helping going to therapy? You like? I mean,
He's a Christian therapist.
Yes.
And he's a preacher too. So he's become a friend. So,
yeah.
But yeah, we're getting through it, and I've got good people around me.
Yes.
I've got a good church group, and honestly, I mean, faith has been a big part of it. Like this has completely changed. Like, if we dive into that, I mean, it's really this year I felt like the power of other people's prayers.
Right. It's real. It does.
It's real.
It's real. God is real.
So that has been a biggie for me, a big eye opener, because it's been a while. It's been a minute since I've felt that.
Yeah.
I mean, your mom prays for you when you're 19, 20, and you're going through it. But I mean, like when you feel the power of prayer through like Helene, it's just different. And the things that have happened,
that are sheer miracles. It's a miracle.
Some of these guys, I don't, these organizers like you, or like, I know a lot of air help financially has came through like Samaritan's Purse,
Yes.
through that South
Yeah.
Coalition.
I'm so proud of them and what they're doing there.
Yeah, like
Because that's outside of the box. What they've had to evolve to is totally outside of the box.
yeah, you're basically you're taking guys that have a job, and I know Barry kind of got all that together, but like he's probably got a job.
Yeah.
I don't know what his job is, but he has a job. He's
Yeah.
our age.
Yeah.
But somehow he's plugged into where he's like, oh yeah, by the way, you know, we're going to try to do the South Toe funding, and it's like really, like what, you know what I'm saying? And then I had neighbors I didn't know that are like that were like basically hunting for bodies in the beginning. They're like, oh, we're ex-military. You see so many ex-military neighbors. You're like, what? You're like, you're one of those guys?
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know, so it's
right.
it's wild. Like,
It is.
And yeah, the people you meet along the way, and the relationship you build, even through this, has helped me just. Honestly, Steph, I really feel like I view everything as temporary now, and I don't mean that in a negative. I mean it in a positive.
Right.
But like, life is temporary.
Yes.
Like houses are temporary. This house, who cares?
Yeah.
Like we're in a. That's why I'm not like broke down during this interview, or like I've really found peace in it.
Yeah.
Like,
I can tell you're glowing totally different now. Everything makes sense now that you.
Yeah. So that it's.
But
I was tore up in the beginning.
I know.
But I found peace in knowing that like everything's temporary in this world, and we got one outlook, and that's heaven.
Yeah. None of us are going to be the same person that we were before the storm. We're completely different people than we were. I'm a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pull my knife on people anymore. And you're a completely different person.
I have it pop up sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, the anger, know, like your basic road rage.
Right. I get it. It happens to me. I try so hard. But for me, it's not. It's for me when I get angry, you know what fires me up more than anything is I'm so protective of you, of Project 8, of Project 9, all of my projects, 512 projects I have. I'm in my whole community. I'm so crazy protective of them. And when I feel like someone is exploiting them or not, you know what I'm saying? Not leading up to their full expectations of, you know, if they've made somebody a promise to help them, I expect them to help them. Yeah. And if they fail them or they let them down or they, you know, like I get crazy about that kind of stuff. Well, like I really show my tail. It's bad.
I told you, like, you're the person in the room, like everybody else is in the room, like everybody's thinking it, but you're going to say it.
Yes.
Like that's, I'm thinking it. And I'm like, you know, I can't believe you said that, but like,
somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it. Yeah. I've been in some meetings that, you know, I'm part of the long-term recovery group. I don't know that I'm part of it. I go to the meetings. And most of them for months, it was so disappointing. I was so discouraged. I was so disgusted. And I told them that, you know, like now, you know, I was like, I was going to quit because y'all were wasting my time. But now I'm just going to be here to hold your feet to the fire because you've established yourself as a long-term recovery group for Yancey County. And I have expectations for you to do what you're supposed to do. You know, and so it's been tough. This has been a roller coaster of emotions of being protective and trying to help everybody.
Well, that's one reason that's something I did send in an email when I, you know, quit the one group. I was like, you know, I'm going to see these people at the grocery store. I'm going to see them at church or run into them at Walmart. Like,
these are your neighbors.
I'm like 5 generations deep out of Mitchell County. You know, I mean, I'm going to see these people.
Yeah.
So
you're going to build them something good.
Yeah.
You're going to take care of them.
I mean, one of the houses was for one of my cousins.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I'm saying?
You want to build it right.
Yeah.
And you're not going to cut corners. You're not going to do anything cheap or use the wrong material.
What I wanted to do was get in there, get it done with donor money, which, you know, everybody has sent money, you know, so use that money and get these houses up, get them together fast, get these people in their homes.
Mhm.
That's my mindset.
Yeah.
Get it,
done.
and let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And that was just not the game plan.
Right. Because they want to do it. Some organizations solely want to do it with volunteer labor. And so we'll have volunteers for a week and then no volunteers.
Not have them for a month.
Yeah.
And
then that house in the meantime is sitting, rain
or you have
pouring
the wrong section of volunteers. You have the wrong skill set of volunteers.
Right.
For that. You know, so like
it's been tough. It's been tough. Is there anything you need to do your job? So as we're moving forward, we know you lost a lot, Gresh. I mean, you know, as far as you have vehicles that were gone. Is there any? I know a lot of your concrete tools were destroyed. Is there anything that you could think of that you would?
No, I'm good. I mean, really,
I know you'd say that.
I'm good. I'm good.
He's still gonna do that.
We've replaced. I mean, the small. What got me is I set my small engine stuff at the creek.
Yeah.
Like plate tamps, concrete mixers, stuff like that. So I set those at the creek. So anything with an engine, I lost. But other than that, I mean, I'm good. I'm good.
You're okay. Because now, we got Matt now. He's helping us through a lot of concrete stuff.
Yeah, he's got his.
Yeah. You want to know something pretty cool about last week?
What?
So last week Matt was on with us, and so I asked Matt what tool he needed, and he had told us what tool he needed, and it'll be here Monday. So one of our ladies was able to get his tool. They Miss Karen Mora, she bought his tool and it's on the way. So that's really exciting. We have so many people that are cheering for us and want us to recover and want us to be okay. You know, I want you to know that it matters so much to so many. And that's the point of this podcast, is to keep telling our story, sharing what's going on with the world. And I'm so glad that you've been a part of it.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. You've done really good. I know you're like, before you haven't liked to do interviews. So this is pretty awesome. We roll with
this one. This one was easy. With you and me, it was easy.
It is. We've been friends a long time. Before the storm, I was a realtor. You were a contractor. You helped me on jobs. Anytime I had a real estate issue and I needed him, bam, he was right there.
And then your husband, Dollar, was like, basically, I worked for him for a while.
Yeah.
He was like, so
this has been pretty crazy. So I'm thankful. I'm very thankful I'm thankful for you. I'm proud of you. I really am so proud of you.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I mean, you guys were at Rose's parking lot like day 6, 7, 8, whatever.
We started on day 4. October 1st is when we got there, and we never left until we came here.
I mean, you basically stopped your job and did distribution. You stayed in the
But how do you sell Broken Mountains? I mean, I'm a realtor of the greatest place in the world. I can't sell Broken Mountains. Now I am selling real estate again. That's how I pay our bills. Yeah. So I do still, I have some listings coming up. Hoping to write a couple of offers here very soon. So that's exciting. You know, I have sold a couple since the storm. So that keeps my family going so that I can focus on this, because nothing matters more to me than making sure that every neighbor that we have in Yancey and Mitchell County has an advocate. Because as you know, so many people don't know this process as far as construction. They don't have an understanding of the construction process, or they don't have someone advocating for them. And so I feel like I'm a self-appointed advocate to our neighbors of Yancey and Mitchell County. And I'm really good at talking, so that's what I'm doing.
I feel like you are too.
Yeah.
And there's nothing against any other organization that came, which are larger organizations for the most part. I mean, let's face it, you came from distributing blankets and ravioli to trying to get people 2x4s and 2x6s. So you've grown, but like where everybody else was pretty much more or less established, they're non-locals, except for maybe one big organization, they're locals. But other than that, you know, they're so I think you're for an Appalachian mountain boy, you're easily more trustable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think you've proven it
Yeah.
over the course of.
Yeah. Well, it's just all about evolving. Like, what do people need? What do I got to do to get it for them? Like,
Yes, it's that simple.
It's that simple. People tell me what's going on. Like, I'll never forget one project said to me, they hadn't had a bath in 3 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, I need a respite. And that's how I got out. That's why I said, I'm getting upstairs so I can have showers for anybody that needs a shower. Anybody needs to do laundry. You know, like when I find out what somebody's dealing with, I'm determined to fix it or at least make a difference. You know what I mean? And try to help. I mean, because these are my neighbors too. This is my home too. I wasn't born here, but my soul was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't physically
You've been there
born
long
here.
enough.
But we've been here almost 15 years. My soul was born here. I met God here. You know, I mean to live the rest of my life on earth here because this is the greatest place on earth. Even though she's shattered and she's broken, we're just going to fix it. And that it's going to be okay. So we have been talking for a while. Is there anything else? We have. I'm so thankful though. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our guests and talk to anything else? Any last words you would like to say?
I'd just like to, thank my family and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And just I've got a good church family. They've been there over the past couple of years, really. But like through this, my local church family, and then honestly, churches around Western North Carolina. I mean, I have there's so even a church in Virginia helped me.
Yeah.
So like, I know these private organizations, churches,
Yes.
see the needs.
Yes.
And you're not forgotten. Like
Right.
those, like I just want those people to know, like that $500 you sent to this guy, or the 10 grand you sent to the other guy, or like, I mean, I had an organization, a church I just used to attend that I just got to speaking with, by my trust package, like last week.
That's amazing.
So I'm like,
See?
and they, and
Yeah.
it's just those God things
Yeah.
that like are, I don't want those people. I know they're not doing it for show, so
Right.
they don't even want me to say
Right.
any. But I just want them to know, like, you did reach. You did touch. You did use what you had for good.
Yeah.
And for the glory of the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
So I just want them to know that.
I love
And
that.
we're fine. We'll keep making it.
Yeah. We're not going to quit.
No, we're just going to keep. I think a sense of normalcy is what we're going to try to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep trucking
That's
along.
our new normal.
If there's gravel that needs to be here, or there's trees that need to be down, we're just going to keep doing it. Houses that need to be rebuilt.
I'm glad you're on my team.
We're just going to keep doing it.
I'm proud of you. And I'm so thankful that you're part of what we're trying to do here together as locals, determined. This is going to be good.
It's going to be a good outcome.
Yeah.
It may take us a while.
It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while, but we're going to do it. And then I'm disappear back into the woods. I'll be done. I'm excited for that day. I'm excited for the day I can get in the river again. That's been so hard this summer. I really am struggling with not being able to get in the river right now. And there's a lot of, I've had one lady that has been very upset with me because I am personally not getting in the water because my spirit doesn't feel right about it. So it's not that I've had testing done or anything. I've just looked at it and I've said, something isn't right there. I don't feel comfortable getting in the water. I don't feel like I could have an enjoyable experience in the water right now. I think it's dangerous.
North Toe.
Yeah, the North Toe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be a hard summer, but we're just going to keep doing it. So, All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, hanging out with Gresham and I. We certainly are so thankful that you spent your evening with us. We do have an upcoming event. The Spruce Pine Independence Day Parade is going to be Saturday, July the 5th. Rebuilding Hollers will be in that. We will be in Burnsville on Friday, July the 4th for fireworks. So I'm very excited about that. Don't forget, you can support us by buying our merchandise online. We have our t-shirts, a hat, We've got tank tops, stickers, any way that you can help us. We sell our merchandise to raise money so that we can continue building our projects and get into just get what our neighbors need to get them home. So we will not have a podcast next week, July the 4th. So don't forget to tune in 2 weeks. We have an incredible guest that will be joining us then, and I'm so thankful for that. So thank y'all so much for loving me. Thank you so very much for loving my community. I'll see y'all later. The hardest part isn't the knowing. It isn't knowing everything that you have to do to get everything back right. The hardest part are the memories. Knowing exactly how it used to look before the storm. That's the hardest part.